All right, hello and welcome to the January 18th, 2015 edition of the Day Zero Update. I'm Patrick Mifflin.
I'm Filippo and today we've actually got a special guest on the program. I'd like to introduce potential SmashPad staffer, but we'll see how that goes. Mr. Brandon Perkins.
Howdy, folks. Nice to meet you.
Yep. So usually we get started with what we've been playing, so I'll just throw over to Patrick to see what we've been doing.
I am still way into the drift stage. Still trying to chase down that expert ghost, and that's going better than it has been. I've laid down a time of 121,766. I'm starting to get frustrated not only with the expert ghost, but with my own, so that's always a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
I'm still playing Suikoden for the Voice of Dissent project, which will be launching this week, actually, on Thursday.
Yeah.
And so
the original Suikoden?
The original. Yep.
The original for PS1?
Yep.
Yes.
I actually never played that one.
Yeah. So basically, for those who haven't heard about it yet, the Voice of Dissent project is built around the entire concept that my tastes in gaming are rather distinct, and this manifests itself in several ways. My greatest games of all time list reads like no one else's. I mean, you've got stuff like The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky, Grandia, Street Fighter III Third Strike, Wave Race 64, Ridge Racers 2. All those are kind of up on your top 10 or so. But it also means that there have been some widely beloved games that just didn't resonate with me. And Voice of Dissent is kind of me going back and revisiting those games and, you know, in equal measure, things that I thought were solid about them, but at the same time, stuff that caused them to fall apart for me. So there's going to be some pointed criticism in there mixed in with just analysis of how it came together.
So you say widely beloved games, give us an example.
Well, obviously Suikoden is the first one I'm playing through for this project. I'm probably going to spend 3 or 4 episodes on that, and I might split that time between it and its sequel. The next 2 games I'm going to do to kind of round out Season 1 will be The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, and then Final Fantasy VIII to finish it off.
Oh, so. Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah.
And
you know, I actually kind of liked that one.
The things that it did well, it did extremely well. And you're going to be hearing a lot about that on Voice of Dissent later on in the first season when I get around to that game. That being said,
the thing is, Final Fantasy VIII was it was the first Final Fantasy actually finished, so it kind of has a nostalgic quality for me.
Yeah.
But it definitely had some major flaws though, and they're very obvious once you've been with it for a little while.
Yeah, and me having been with the series pretty much from the beginning, I definitely look at it in that frame. I've kind of gotten over it over the years as more Final Fantasy games come out that actually cause 8 to fit in hindsight.
Yeah.
But the things that irritate me about it always will. And the first episode that I do, I'm already planning this, the first episode that I do of Final Fantasy VIII is pretty much just going to be me drawing magic the entire time.
Yeah.
Maybe zero
I have a
story
feeling that
whatsoever.
Yeah, I have a feeling what you're going to show is probably going to be the stuff that really got on my nerves too.
Yeah.
You know, and I gotta say, although I really love that game, Final Fantasy VIII is the first time when you really start to realize that Tetsuya Nomura really has an unhealthy obsession with zippers.
And belts.
And belts.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Lulu's dress in Final Fantasy X. It's nothing but belts.
Yeah.
Looks like it was made out of them.
You kind of left to wonder just how much longer Nomura is going to stick around in the gaming industry before he moves on to be a fashion designer.
Well, he's done a lot of collectible design in the last few years.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Yeah, like he did.
He's got that established fan base. He can pretty much make whatever he wants and sell it to them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he teamed up with DC last year and made like a Batman statuette.
Oh yeah, I remember that. It took
And a
me
Catwoman one.
Yeah.
And a Catwoman one too. The Batman was pretty good. The Catwoman one looked
A little weird.
Yeah.
Then there was something else I was going to add.
Do you hate it when you brain farts like that?
Oh, don't you love it?
Yeah.
Well, the video people are seeing will be of me playing Mario Kart 8. So I guess you can say I'm playing that as well.
Yeah.
Kind of getting into the Nintendo spirit of the overarching theme this week.
Yeah.
But
I gotta be honest.
DLC's fun.
I gotta be honest. This year, Wii U's really the system to get.
It was.
I mean, it's pretty much the one system that's been putting out consistently good stuff. Like all the AAA stuff has pretty much been a disappointment.
Yeah.
Most of it, anyway.
I never really look at the AAA stuff anyway, unless you count like Forza Motorsport, and we're actually going to be talking about that here in a bit.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. The Call of Duties, the Assassin's Creeds. I did finally get Black Flag though.
Yeah, it was
haven't started it yet. Yeah. But by and large, I just don't look to that stuff. It's usually things that are either considered second tier that I end up playing, or stuff that fell off the radar completely.
Yeah.
How about you, Phil? What have you been playing?
Okay, well, obligatory Defense Grid 2 mention, because I want to see how many weeks in a row we can throw that in there. Then I've been playing a bunch of PC stuff, actually.
Which isn't hard right now.
No, there's a lot of good stuff out there. I went back and got out my old Revolt CD. Man, that game still holds up. It's so much fun. Yeah, one of the things I really love about that game is just how distinct every single car is.
Yeah, that's something that a lot of arcade racing games really don't get right.
Yeah. If you can pick up a copy of this game, you probably have to eBay it since it's really not available anywhere else. Yeah, check that one out.
That would be one that's just ripe for the picking for just going back and randomly throwing it on Steam.
Yeah. No, it may actually happen, although I don't know what the right situation is with that game right now.
Yeah. Is it complicated?
Well, it was held by Acclaim, and I have no idea where they are anymore. So.
Research! Okay. Anyway.
Yeah. And then, let's see, Double Dragon Trilogy, which is going to be actually this week's 15 minutes of game. I've already got the footage for that cut.
Yeah, speaking of random things getting dropped on Steam.
Yeah, it was just plop. Random iOS or Android port, and it kind of feels that way, but it does an okay job replicating the arcade games.
Alright.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Acclaim, founded 2006, and its latest version defunct August 27th, 2010, so...
Yeah, so who knows where the rights ended up. So, I'm sure somebody will find them eventually.
Yeah.
And the last thing I've been playing was Outrun 2 FXT, which you were a little bit puzzled by this morning.
Yeah, I needed you to inform me on that one because I love my Outrun 2.
Yeah.
And anything that can breathe new life into that is a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is effectively just an unofficial patch that adds custom resolution, adds proper Xbox 360 controller support, which is a huge plus. You can, actually have analog steering and brakes now, so that's very helpful.
Yeah.
Lets you enable the 4 hidden music tracks that were on the disc, but you weren't able to access them.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice. And there's a whole bunch of arcade cabinet integration stuff that's going on in that patch as well, so that's really cool.
Yeah. The only problem is that it does rely on you having a copy of Outrun 2006 for the PC, which, is impossible to do legitimately right now. I mean, I don't think there are a whole lot of disc copies of it floating around, and due to licensing issues, it's been pulled from Steam for quite some time.
Yeah. Yeah, the copy I got was picked it up on eBay, actually. It was $20. And it seems like there's a whole bunch of copies of the PC version in the UK for some reason. So
that's probably where a lot of them. Yeah, I can see that being where a lot of them are shipped.
Yeah. So.
Meanwhile, I don't think I've ever encountered one personally. I'm not sure if FXT is getting along as well as it should with my Steam copy, or even if it's working at all. That's something I'm going to have to be revisiting, throughout the week. But I really want to get this up and running because I've seen the YouTube footage of it running properly, and this seems to be exactly what Outrun 2 needs. That Virtua Racing camera angle just made me laugh.
Yeah, I don't know why you would ever want to use it, but it's there.
I think that's, Saturday night at 2 a.m. mode.
Yeah.
For to use a more appropriate term.
Yeah.
Its audience.
Yeah.
But, if you're sober, it's not for you.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something I'm looking forward to cracking into in the coming days.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely worth the effort. So, and that's pretty much all I've been playing this week. So,
Brandon?
Pretty much my gaming time is pretty much recently has been divided between Dragon Age Inquisition and Super Mario 3D World.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. I haven't been terribly far in Dragon Age Inquisition yet, because, stuff.
Yeah.
But, Mario 3D World, I think I'm about on the tail end of that one. But yeah, it was...
You think, but then it'll pull you back in.
Yeah. But it's really... The game has really surprised me. It really is just a lot of fun. It's well designed, it's just got so much neat little stuff in it, that keeps you coming back.
What I always tell people is that Super Mario 3D Land, Super Mario 3D World, those are the games they should have made on the N64 back in 1996 instead of Super Mario 64.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is the Mario series imagined properly in 3D instead of just going off into this completely separate... it's got Mario in it. We see Mario characters running around, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
3D Land, 3D World, those are the kinds of games they should have been making back then.
Yeah.
I'm just happy to see. It's just good to see that we're getting them now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Dragon Age Inquisition I haven't even bought yet, because I know that, as soon as I do, that will pretty much consume my entire gaming time.
Yeah, I definitely recommend it, because Dragon Age Inquisition is just... BioWare basically redeemed themselves on that one. That's really pretty much all I got to say on that.
Yeah, well, they set the bar pretty low with Dragon Age 2, so anything would be an improvement. But I'm glad they really stepped it up for this one.
Oh, don't say that. I have it, but I still got to play it.
Just skip 2. You can safely skip it.
I don't want to, but at the same time, I've got the disc just sitting there in my folder. It's there. I already have it.
Yeah. Dragon Age Inquisition, great graphics. Love the writing is great. I like the battle system, even though it can be a little finicky at times. I love how they've taken they've given it not so much a big open world completely, but each area is like really big and open. So, it's unlike, Dragon Age 2 where you're basically stuck in the same city for the whole game.
Yeah.
But, let's see. I also got, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker also.
I still need to get that.
Yeah.
And that,
those of you who don't know who haven't...
to what we were talking about with Super Mario 3D World as well, because that was...
Yes, those of you who don't know, Super Mario 3D World, many of the worlds will have a little side thing on it, a little side game, where, basically you start playing as Toad, but, and basically it's, instead of being like a straight platformer like a Mario game is, this one is more of a puzzle platformer. Basically it drops Toad in the middle of this sort of a diorama type level, and you have to basically rotate the level and find out all these hidden passages and stuff. And, basically Captain Toad Treasure Tracker is that, but on a bigger scale. And
you might even call it like Solstice meets Echochrome.
Yeah, pretty much. It's also the first game I've ever played that made me give a crap about Toad. So
there you go.
Yeah.
And I hear that a lot too.
Yeah.
It's a genuinely great game.
And only $40.
Yeah,
and it's really cheap too. So give it a play. And other than that, the only other thing I've really been playing seriously, I've been going back and replaying Star Fox Adventures for
GameCube.
It's originally for GameCube, but I got it on my Wii, so
yeah.
And that's more of a nostalgia thing for me because I loved that game when it came out.
I still need to go back and finish that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a lot of folks who don't like it, and I can kind of understand why. But I loved it.
Yeah.
It's got probably one of my favorite soundtracks of any game.
I do remember it being quite good.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've heard it, but
It is good. The thing is though, it's a great game. It's just not really a Star Fox game.
Yeah.
I mean, for what it is, it's good. Yeah, because the Star Fox stuff was kind of tacked on at the last moment.
Yeah, they tried to make it fit. So it kind of sort of worked, but not really.
Yeah, I mean, it gave us
anyone here.
But it did, it gave us one of my favorite game characters, which is Crystal. So, I'm all right with that.
Yeah.
Who I'm actually kind of surprised we haven't seen in Smash Brothers yet.
Yeah.
Just as a random
Oh,
aside.
she probably will show up at some point, and she's probably going to show up in the new Star Fox.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
If she doesn't, there will be riots in the streets. I can guarantee you
Hasn't
that.
she been in every new game since?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's been in the DS versions.
Star Fox Command.
Yeah.
Which.
Yeah. She was in Assault
that's pretty
too, wasn't
much.
she?
Yeah, she was in Assault too, which I also played, but I didn't like Assault all that much.
No, it had some good ideas, but the execution was not so great.
Yeah.
When Namco misses, they miss.
Yeah, when Namco misses, they really miss.
Yeah. Note to Nintendo, in a Star Fox game, it's generally not a good idea to have them get out of their vehicles.
Yeah.
Just keep them in the planes, keep them in the tanks. They don't have to get out.
Or if you
and
do
of course,
make them
Namco
get out,
probably
at
just
least-
looked at it as another type of vehicle battle. Just instead of vehicles, it's them walking around. And that's probably why it controlled so horribly.
Yeah. Yeah, there really wasn't any good control option in that game. The C-Stick version
Star Fox.
was okay,
Now, Star
but-
Fox. Yeah. Star Fox Command, on the other hand, was actually really good.
I have heard.
I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
And it had, I actually kind of hope that when the new Star Fox for Wii U comes out, I hope they kind of follow some of the design sense as far as plot goes, because the plot in Star Fox Command was was really branched out and had a bunch of different paths and stuff. So I hope they actually stick to that.
Yeah, well, there's definitely room in that world to really, make a good game.
Yeah.
And hopefully,
Mm-hmm.
Miyamoto's going to be on the right track. I mean, we haven't really seen anything.
It's
other
his
than
pet
that
project.
Demo. Yeah.
That pretty much says
Miyamoto's
it all
pretty.
right there.
Yeah. And, he's doing that, and at the same time, he's also doing Splatoon, too. So, and that comes out, I'm not sure when, but that one's also got me excited. But
yeah, that comes out in May. So
yeah.
So it's not too
But
far
that's
off.
pretty much been what I've been playing, so.
Cool. So I guess we'll jump over to our discussion stories, huh?
Yeah, before we get started on the news, I just want to say this is probably the only podcast around where you can bring up Dragon Age Inquisition and Super Mario 3D World side by side and have somebody go, oh yeah, Super Mario 3D World!
Yeah.
Whereas pretty much any other podcast would just go deep into Dragon Age. I just thought that was funny.
Yeah.
So, Drift Stage update. We on top of me still playing it a lot. It did fund about on the timetable we were speculating on last week. It currently sits at 1,851 backers with almost $43,000. So, and there's 20 days to go. So they're going to do a lot more money than they seemed to think they were going to, which is fantastic news for anyone who loves arcade racers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, remind me, Drift Stage, this is the game that's like really supposed to be like a really old school type of racing game? Like kind of like Outrun?
Kind of. Like, on the Kickstarter, they're describing it as a modern take on the classic arcade racer.
Yeah.
It is decidedly more retro than something like Ridge Racers 2 or Outrun 2.
Yeah.
But it really is cut from the same cloth when you pick it up and play it.
Yeah.
It certainly looks like it.
Yeah, it's got a really distinct look, which at first I didn't really love, but it kind of grew on me.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the look from the get-go just because I immediately traced it back to Rad Racer.
Yeah.
The color palette and and some stuff that Sega was doing, early on in the Genesis lifespan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I kicked in $70. I'm completely lined up for that. I want the T-shirt, the stickers, everything. I'm just completely sold on it. It's not just something I'm really looking forward to playing. It's one of my most anticipated games of 2015.
Yeah.
So.
And one thing that would be really cool if they could implement it would be filters to actually change the palette to because a lot of games back then had very distinct looks. Taito had their own look, Sega had their own look.
Yeah.
If you could apply a filter and kind of get that same kind of look
Oh man,
that would be pretty kick-ass.
Mm-hmm.
Find a way to plug in 8-bit sprites.
Well, I don't know if they go that far, but still. Yeah, so that's Drift Stage, still plugging away. And
oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure they'll at least double by the time their Kickstarter is over.
You find it, Brandon?
Yep, I'm looking at it, and it definitely looks... Yeah. Yeah, I see what he means. It definitely looks old school.
Yeah.
But when you play it, you don't get that impression.
No.
Nah.
And that's a really cool part about it, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely give that one a download and check it out. It's well worth it.
Yeah.
And it's like I said in the hands-on preview, the soundtrack is second to none. It sounds worthy of Outrun, worthy of Super Hang-On, all those great games from back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You can go down to the soundtrack portion of the Kickstarter page and just listen to that all day. If you have that appreciation for kind of the old school arcade racing stuff, you'll be all about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that was pretty much half of what I played in the arcades back in the day, were the old racers. That and the old fighting games.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm showing my age.
Yeah, it's all good.
Well, if you remember Fighter's history in the arcade, well,
Yes, I do, actually.
Yeah. That was...
I even remember the fact that the final boss character was the hero of his own game.
Karnov.
Karnov, yeah.
Yep.
Karnov, yep.
Yeah.
I was just playing Fighter's History Dynamite the other day. I'm not entirely sure why, but I was.
Yeah.
That happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So going from one extreme to the other, Turn 10 just announced Forza Motorsport 6. I think at this point we can say that qualifies it as an annualized franchise because this will be the 5th year in a row that we get a new Forza game.
Yeah. And,
I always start to get a little anxious when franchises start to get annualized like this.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, the quality hasn't suffered, so...
No.
You got 2 different teams working on it.
Yeah, well, that's the same as how Activision is handling Call of Duty, but,
Yeah.
Your mileage may vary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Having 2 teams is different than having 2 good teams.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what we've seen of it so far is not a whole heck of a lot. But we did get a nice look at the new Ford GT, which is a pretty spectacular looking car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of the talk of the town with Forza 6. Everyone who's been really buzzing about the game on the social media and everything has really zeroed in on that car, and I can't blame them. It seems to be a real breakthrough for Ford.
Yeah. Well, they've been really killing it the past few years, so it's nice to see them getting back to their glory days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like what I've been seeing out of their rally division too, but at the moment I guess that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'll be picking it up.
Yeah.
You?
Does a bear shit in the woods?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does an 800-pound gorilla sleep wherever he wants?
Pretty much.
The only question is whether there's going to be a limited edition worth picking up this time, because I was all about that for Forza 3, Forza 4. They didn't really put together a great one for Forza 5, and I was disappointed about that.
Yeah, and then they did a Game of the Year edition, 6 months after the game release, which was a little weird. And that didn't even include all the DLC, just a couple of DLC packs.
Yeah.
So.
Meanwhile, you had GT6 kind of running circles around him in that regard.
Yeah. Horizon 2, they also didn't do too much as far as limited edition goes. So.
Yeah, well, they didn't do a whole lot as far as DLC goes. I mean, I think they came right out during the development process and said, we aren't trying to get people to buy a bunch of DLC. Just go out there, compete, enjoy the game, and take it for what it is, which is admirable. I think more studios, especially more racing studios, need to do that.
Yeah. Well, there have been car packs, but you expect that with Forza games. They're not. It
hasn't been a focal point.
Yeah, I like what they did with Forza 5, where any track that came out was just free DLC. It just got added in as a patch, so that was that was nice.
And staying on the Xbox One side of things, boy, that Phil Spencer must have seen something he didn't like.
Yeah, I think 18.5 million PS4s would probably change your mind pretty quickly.
And when you're staring down the barrel of sales figures like that, I mean, it took them all of 13 days to get scared back down to $349.99. They say it's on a promotional basis. You think it really is?
I think the promotion is going to go on and on and on and on
until the
indefinitely, pretty much.
Yeah.
That sure didn't take them long, did it?
No, but it's what they need to do because make up as much ground as they can. They really need to get that price competitive, and if you can stay underneath where the PS4 is, and you're probably looking at selling more units that way.
Yeah,
that's what they have to do to get caught up. They've got the software in place now.
Yeah,
I mean they need to keep up that momentum, but I think if they can hang on to the $349 price point as far as E3 without trying to bump it back up again, get to E3, get your 2015 catalog fleshed out.
Yep.
I don't know if they're going to catch up to Sony at this point because they're staring down the barrel of some serious sales figures there.
Yeah.
But it'll give them their best chance for sure.
Yeah.
And you never know when some kind of super megaton system selling announcement could drop. At any moment, any system could get its Final Fantasy VII. So,
yeah, pretty much.
this generation is still very young, and we were talking about this last week, that the sales figures that we're already seeing are just staggering. We might see both the Xbox One and the PS4 go 100 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure the PS4 will definitely hit it. The Xbox One,
depending on what they do.
Yeah, as long as it's their game to lose, really. I mean, it's, if they do some smart moves and get the software library in place and woo developers, they'll probably be there.
Well, I mean, there's definitely there are some other games coming down the road. I know The Witcher 3 comes out, and I think it's May, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like it.
And it seems like it's going to be a lot easier for people to get that on console than on PC.
Yeah.
And I know there's some other stuff coming out down the road. So
yeah, well, they got Crackdown that they announced last year.
Yeah.
So that's supposedly coming out this year. I'm actually looking forward to that because I was a huge fan of the first 2 Crackdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
that was a series that kind of slipped through the cracks for me. I never got around to trying it.
Yeah. Usually I am kind of against open world games, but Crackdown was one of the few that I was really able to get into. I really enjoy everything about that game.
You're going to hear me go off on that in a minute here. just letting you know ahead of time. But yeah, I think it's like I said last week. I think this is the generation where your non-gamers are going to kind of become your outliers, and we've already arrived at the point where a majority of U.S. households have game systems in them. But I would not be surprised at all to see that explode even further this year.
Yeah.
Or not this year, but certainly this generation.
Yeah.
Especially
gaming. Gaming's a mainstream thing now.
Oh yeah. And I'm predicting that at E3, not this year, but next year, one or both of Sony and Microsoft will get down to $299. And that's going to be what just drives everything.
Yeah, well, I definitely see the PS4 hitting $349 this year.
It has to.
Yeah.
I would say that's one of the early locks for E3.
Yeah.
With Microsoft already getting down there. And then they're probably going to spend the intervening 12 months just trying to chase each other down to 300.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This, you got Phil Spencer talking about how he wants to, sort of respond and make a sort of, I don't want to say reactionary, but a reprisal move, if you will, to Sony getting Street Fighter. So, I mean, and now we're seeing all this dancing around with price points. This is going to be a knockdown, drag-out generation.
Yeah.
I mean, this is going... It's nice because it's not infantile like 16-bit was, where everyone was just smearing each other and there was all that smear marketing going on. That's absent.
Sega does what Nintendo don't.
Exactly.
That's all absent, and I'm happy to see it gone.
Yeah.
But the business deals that are going to be going on, it's going to be unprecedented. I think it's just going to be constant, everyone going at everyone else's throat.
Yeah.
And that's great for us.
Well, it's not...
That is magnificent for us.
Yeah, we won't see, fighting in the streets, but, we're definitely staring at the point of, pistols at 10 paces kind of battle at this point.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to lead to some pretty big E3s, pretty big TGS, Gamescom, PAX. I mean, every chance anyone gets to get the spotlight on a stage, they're not going to try and waste that because there's so much at stake. The industry's getting so big, and actually sustaining that size that, be excited.
Yeah.
Moving on. So, more fallout from the Christmas Day DDoS attacks.
Yes, another one of those idiots got arrested.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think another one has since the article I found, but I'm not entirely positive about that. I think I heard about an arrest here in the States. But this one was over in the UK.
Second one in the UK.
Yep. So.
Oh man, I had a friend who he went and got an Xbox One for around Christmas, and he was going to go ahead and get I believe it was because Xbox One was the one that had the Assassin's Creed downloads, right?
Right. Yeah.
And he was going to go ahead and download it on there, and just as it was just about finished to download,
That's when the
Xbox Live went down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God damn it.
And the thing is, now it got corrupted, and now he can't go back and
You can't resume it.
re-download it. Nope.
You can't just wipe the files.
So
that he
screw
has.
Lizard Squad.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so screw Lizard Squad. I hope
Yeah.
they get
Well,
what's coming to them.
Yeah, you have to
lo and
actually
behold,
flush the file
screwing
from
is
the
probably
drive
on the
and then
menu.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've had that happen on the PS4. I've had that happen on the Xbox One. It's really irritating. If you have corrupted files on the drive, you can't re-download. You have to delete them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's annoying. So I just gotta wonder: was it worth it, Lizard Squad? Was it really, really worth it?
We'll see. So, obviously the biggest news item this week was the Nintendo Direct.
That's right.
We're not going to sit down and go through every item that was on the agenda, but there were some
Right.
distinct highlights.
There were some big ones,
Yeah.
I think
like
the
new
first
Fire
one,
Emblem.
Yeah, Fire Emblem If, as they're calling it in Japan, which kind of, bit of an obscure reference, but it does draw another connection to the Shin Megami Tensei series because there was a Super Nintendo game called Shin Megami Tensei If. It was also later ported to PlayStation, but never made it over here except on mobile form.
Yeah.
So,
And what we saw looked really interesting, I gotta say. They're redoing some of the, like, for example, the Battlefield mechanics. Obviously it's still gonna be, sort of a rock, paper, scissors type thing.
yeah.
But now it looks like but now it looks like your fellow soldiers don't disappear into thin air during battle. They still hang around in the background.
Yeah. I think with Awakening, they kind of perfected the Fire Emblem formula. And so with Fire Emblem If, we're going to see the next evolution of that. Here's a franchise I really wouldn't mind seeing annualized because with Fire Emblem, they could actually go back and I would love to see it if they could do a new game 1 year and then a remake the next, and then just alternate between new games and remakes until every Fire Emblem game has been remade in the image of Awakening.
Yeah, Fire Emblem's a pretty expansive franchise. It's been around since the mid '80s, so it's there's a long history there, and we only recently got the tip of the iceberg, and you can pretty much thank Smash Brothers for that.
Yep. And then I still remember my first exposure to it. We got trolled really hard back in 1996 by Nintendo Power Magazine because they did a full multi-page feature. I think it was Genealogy of the Holy War, which is also regarded as one of the best Fire Emblem games ever made. I think that was the one that they teased where they just did this huge feature on it and it sounded like they were pretty positive it was going to be brought to the U.S. Of course, it never was.
Nope.
And so...
I gotta admit, though, Fire Emblem is actually one of the... I gotta be honest, it's one Nintendo franchises I actually expected to be one of the last ones that would ever make it over here. Because, if the
Super NES had lived maybe 1 year longer than it did,
it
would have been able to catch the wave of the JRPGs that were just hammering the PS1. And I think Nintendo of America would have really reconsidered not bringing the Super NES ones over. I think they would have started doing that. Right. If the Super NES had lasted long enough into the fallout of Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah. Something else that got me fascinated is the idea that they're talking about bringing in more plot choices, and that it's going to be affecting the game much more heavier than it has in the past. And that actually has me interested because I recently found here that the actual game scenario is going to be written by Shin Kibayashi. Those of y'all out there who don't know who he is, he's written a lot of some of my personal favorite Japanese comics in the last few years, stuff like Get Backers and the Kendaiichi Case Files and Bloody Monday. He's really good at writing like really tense puzzle suspense plots, so I'm actually pretty interested in seeing what this is going to become, what's going to come out of this. So they definitely got the hook in my mouth.
That's intriguing, and that's another trend we're starting to see lately is all these writers coming from different forms of media, different corners of creative writing, and kind of converging on the gaming industry. We just recently had Toshiki Inoue working on Fairy Fencer F, and he's actually writing the sequel right now.
And what actually bring that out, actually in Japan, that's actually been something that's been going on for a while. It's because back in the 90s when, the JRPG was the be-all, end-all for the Japanese gaming industry, they got a lot of famous people to get on certain games, famous writers, famous artists. Like, I personally make the statement.
Pretty much
Dragon Quest basically started, and I actually make the statement that part of the reason Dragon Quest was so successful as it was at first was because Akira Toriyama was doing the art direction.
Had that name recognition.
And it just so happened that it was also a really good game too. So,
yep.
But I mean, they ended up eventually they got like guys like Shigesato Itoi to do the Earthbound series, and just a lot of it was really standard in the industry for a little while, and it looks like that's starting to happen again.
Yeah, it's definitely a new wave of that trend, and I absolutely welcome it. I can already think of a lot of writers that I would love to see make the jump over to the game industry. A lot of them cut from very much the same cloth as Toshiki Inoue. So, if we start seeing that become a thing again, I will be really excited, because there are a lot of really good writers out there who are doing stuff that besides video games, and we need to get them in on that.
Yeah, I definitely know of some really good, like, Japanese science fiction and fantasy writers I would love to, if not necessarily make an original game, but, like, get involved in, like, a really good adaptation. Like, I'd love to see, like, a video game adaptation of Legend of the Galactic Heroes. That's a franchise I would love to see in game form.
Yeah. And things going the way they are, you might actually see that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're making a new Legend of Galactic Heroes anime this year, so it might happen.
Even if just in the form of a licensed game, it's a start.
Yeah.
One writer I would like to see make that jump would be Gen Urobuchi.
Yeah.
He's already done some video games, but nothing that's actually made it over here.
Yeah.
And, he recently branched off into tokusatsu, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And with Kamen Rider Gaim, and that was one of the best seasons of that franchise that we've ever had.
Yeah. He was the guy who he wrote manga too, didn't he? He wrote
Oh yeah. Let me pull up the list here.
He did I think he did a series for Shonen Jump, I remember, didn't he? Two of them actually.
It seems like his biggest medium would be anime.
Yeah.
Psycho Pass is on there. Fate Zero, which is fantastic.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's got something upcoming called Gunslinger Stratos.
Yeah. All right.
Which is also one of the video games that he worked on, so it's an adaptation of that.
Mm-hmm.
Then, of course, there was the Kamen Rider Gaim, which I talked about. When you take a look at Kamen Rider Gaim, it's not something that you would really expect to take seriously at first glance.
Yeah.
And then you just...
Oh, wait a second. This is, I remember this guy. This is the guy who also did, what was it? Well, Madoka Magica, the really dark magical.
Yep.
Oh, and he also did this really twisted visual novel called Seiya no Uta.
Yep.
If those of you who've never played it, oh boy, are you in for a treat? Yeah, it is one of the most twisted visual novels you will ever play. It's pure mind screw at its best.
Yeah. We need to get him making JRPGs. You know, just well, we've already got Inoue.
Yeah, if you thought that the Tale series deconstructed the RPG, just wait until Gen Urobuchi makes one.
Oh yeah,
he will twist it around and turn it inside out, and at the end of the game, you'll be the bad guy.
Yeah,
somehow,
pretty much. Let's see.
Also, they showed more stuff for the new Xenoblade.
Yep. It looks magnificent. I'm really kind of frustrated that they at least appear to be going the open world route with it, because well, I
mean, the Xenoblade Chronicles was an open world.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I mean, you can do open world, right? I mean, from what we're seeing of the new Zelda, for instance, it looks like they're getting that exactly right.
If it's a JRPG influenced by the original Zelda, I could see that being extremely interesting. That's where games like this need to take their open world influences from.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's a really, really it's a really narrow line to toe when you're getting into stuff like this, and I don't know. We'll see what they do with it.
What I've seen of Xenoblade Chronicles X has really got me excited. I just, I love, because I played the last Xenoblade Chronicles and I absolutely loved it. I adored it. Honestly, it was my favorite game from the Wii. So it pretty much, the game single-handedly made me have faith in Japanese RPGs again.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really that good for me, and but I can, and the fact that it was open world actually was a bonus for me, because you weren't as constricted.
Yeah. And
you were given this huge open world, and the thing was, though, it was a big open world, but there were things to do in it.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a whole lot of nothing. There was a bunch of stuff you could do. And there was always more enemies to fight, and it gave you and it gave you a lot of freedom that the average Japanese RPG doesn't do.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 13.
Yeah. On the other extreme, you got Final Fantasy 2, which is where my mind always runs to when I hear about that. So, it's a good team. They've done some great things in the past. I'm not,
they've actually made it clear that they've actually said that they're being heavily inspired by Bethesda Softworks. So, they've said that they want to be the Japanese Bethesda. So, but some of the
I'll give it a buy.
Some of the new gameplay elements they're adding, like it's not just on ground combat now. You can also have, you've got mech suits now, and those mech suits can also fly. So there's airborne battles and these huge giant enemies that you fight, and it's just got me excited.
Yeah. I don't know.
You gotta have faith.
Yeah, I'm not in love with Bethesda by any means, but I don't know. Like I said, I'll give it a buy. I see stuff like that and I get really apprehensive. Just that's me being quirky again, I suppose.
Yeah.
You know, my distinct tastes showing themselves.
Yeah.
But, anyway, moving on from that, Nintendo and cross-buy, that's not really something we ever thought we'd say in the same sentence.
Yeah.
New Mario vs. Donkey Kong is going to have it.
Yeah, well, it's kind of about time that they at least, get into the modern age of online commerce. I mean,
yeah, I'm glad they're finally getting on board. It's about freaking time.
yeah.
About 10 years too late, but hey, I'll take it.
Yeah.
At the same time, they didn't really have a whole lot of games that called for it.
No.
Up to this point, so...
Yeah, but more and more,
that
I
to
think we're
consider.
going to see, more games that are coming out both on Wii U and 3DS, and at that point it starts to make more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think this generation Nintendo's going to start taking the third-party stuff a lot more seriously.
Yeah. Provided
They kind of have to.
get the third parties to show up.
Yeah.
I mean, they got Bayonetta too, so that was
Yeah, but
that was a coup for the.
Absolutely
to
needs
buy
to
that
become a
one.
part of the Nintendo family.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bayonetta. I would
It's
love
not
to see.
third party.
Yeah, I would love Bayonetta to be in Smash Brothers, but that's not going to happen. So.
I was actually surprised that she wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely surprised. I thought that was almost a lock for the Smash 4 roster.
Yeah. Well, there may be DLC, There's still, there's
Yeah.
still a possibility. Never let
Yeah,
that,
there's always.
don't let that character select screen sway you, because...
Heck, I mean, they got the Duck Hunt dog. They can always bring in Bayonetta later on, so.
Yeah.
And I've been saying from the beginning
Speaking
that
what-
there is still real estate left on the select screen.
Yeah, they haven't completely
Yeah.
plastered it yet, so...
Speaking of that Duck Hunt dog, have you ever seen that really? Have you ever gone on YouTube and seen that really creepy Nintendo commercial from Australia?
Do I want to?
It was on. Okay, here's the thing. Just go on YouTube and let me see. Basically, what it is it was made back in the early '90s, and
Oh God.
I actually first saw it on Nostalgia Critic when he was doing one of his commercial episodes, and let's see, it's just go on YouTube and type in Nintendo You Cannot Beat Us, and basically what it is it's got this really just creepy animated, like, and there's this, it starts off and there's like this blocky human-looking guy going, "We are Nintendo, #1 television game system. You cannot beat us." And then the Duck Hunt dog shows up, and he's all blocky and 3D animated, and he's like, "You cannot beat us." It's real nightmare fuel, but it's also hilarious at the same time.
I think they actually ran that in Canada, because I do remember seeing this.
Yeah, and it also had Bowser was in there, and what's the Koopa that flies around on the cloud and drops spikies?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wacky Twos.
Yeah, it's
Weird.
it's yeah.
Fuck. I'm probably gonna have to check this out after the show, but it really sounds like a failed Mega 64 pitch to me.
Yeah, and what's fun, I actually made the joke that the human guy is actually Master Hand's final form. But yeah, you got to check it out. It's funny and it's creepy.
I will reluctantly take a look at it after the show because
Yeah, it might disturb you for the rest of the day if you...
yeah.
It's short. It's only like 45 seconds long. It's not that long. So
Oh, yeah, but the psychological effects...
It's a short
will be
commercial.
profound.
yeah. You could tell it was made in Australia too, because it's made with It's just it's got the Cockney accents and everything. It's really funny.
So basically, I'm just going to come away from it feeling like I can taste colors.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. Taste colors, eat noise. It'll be
great.
It'll be an experience.
Good times.
Yeah.
So, moving on from that, it was an interesting tangent.
Yeah.
One of my favorite pieces of news from the Nintendo Direct, the Wii joins the Virtual Console.
Yay!
With what I think is a pretty good selection of games to kick off with. This week brought us Super Mario Galaxy 2 at the temporary promotional price of $10. Next week we get Punch-Out, and then after that we actually get the Metroid Prime trilogy, not just Metroid Prime 3, which I would have assumed that they would do. And all of these are going to be at the temporary, promotional price of $10. So,
you guys have played all the Metroid. You've played all the Metroid Prime games, right?
Not played through.
Yeah, I played through the first two. Right. I didn't play 3.
Okay, do you remember, I actually found this out last year. Do you remember that one puzzle in Metroid Prime? I think it was Metroid Prime, where it was where you were trying to get an upgrade to the Spider Ball form, and it was like this big cylinder thing, and you had to move these little balls around.
Vaguely, it's been a while, but yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Okay, I actually found out that's actually based on an actual puzzle that Nintendo actually manufactures. It's called the 10 Billion Barrel Puzzle. It was one of the toys that Gunpei Yokoi designed for the company before they started making games. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind of random stuff Nintendo will definitely put into their games.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nintendo. Yeah. Well, I mean, they did that sort of as a tribute to Yokoi because he is one of the fathers of the Metroid franchise, and sadly he passed away.
Yeah.
In I think it was 97, 98.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Car accident.
But but it was one of the things that he created for Nintendo before they started doing video games.
That is cool.
Yeah. And I think they still make them too. You can probably buy one. I know they still make the Hanafuda trading cards that they started out making
when
Nintendo first.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, they even have a set of Hanafuda trading cards with Nintendo characters on them. You can get it on Amazon for like $30.
Nice.
So, yeah, kind of the main event of their discussions was the new 3DS XL. Coming stateside on February 13th, along with a whole mess of other stuff. But just the XL, the standard size new 3DS, we are not getting, which is kind of strange considering that the faceplates on it would have sold like mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wonder if that's more of a, Nintendo looking at their market and realizing standard size 3DS wasn't selling as well as the XL was.
Yeah, I haven't seen the numbers myself, but I don't imagine they're selling too many of the standard 3DS in the face of the XL.
Yeah.
Just that screen size, actually the entire system size makes a huge difference, at least for me.
Like I know for myself, I can't play Smash Brothers on a regular 3DS size. It's got to be XL because otherwise the screen's just far too small.
Even thinking about trying makes my hands hurt. I just remember trying to play Ridge Racer 3D when the 3DS first launched, and that didn't go well either.
And apparently they're going to be having a Zelda Special Edition.
Yep, and that's at the same price point as the standard editions. It's $199.99. Game not included.
Good luck finding one.
Yeah,
because that thing's going to be sold out.
If you're a Zelda fan, and particularly a Majora's Mask fan, it's a must-have, but good luck finding it because Pre-orders were selling out pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, doesn't come with it doesn't come with the game or an AC adapter, so that's nice too.
Yeah, that's not okay.
Yeah. No.
Obviously, it's been going on in other territories for a while. It's not okay there either. We're at the point now where Nintendo assumes that more customers are upgrading from pre-existing forms of the system than are actually coming in and buying the system for the first time. Yeah. Now, let's take a moment to let that sink in. Because this almost nothing. It actually substantiates all those planned obsolescence conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
And it's just frustrating. I mean, I don't know what they're going for over here. I think I read an article somewhere recently that said that somewhere in Japan they're priced less than the equivalent of $10 here. That's still not okay. It's this is something that Nintendo could have packed in at very limited cost, almost non-existent cost in the face of a $200 handheld. And they're just passing that expense on to you, the consumer, because apparently $209.99 is too awkward of a price point for them to consider.
Yeah, it really doesn't make much sense.
Who was the bean counter who pitched this idea?
Beats me.
Probably the same guy. Probably the same guy who said they needed to absolutely positively rush out the Virtual Boy for the holiday season that year.
Yeah, that went very well, didn't it?
Swimmingly.
And, I've read up on that, and honestly, I don't think you can blame Gunpei Yokoi for it.
No, you can't.
Because it's pretty obvious he kept telling the higher ups, "Look, this is just a prototype. There's still work that needs to be done.
Yeah.
We got to get it out right now."
Ooh, a prototype! Let's launch it.
Yeah.
The rest kind of writes itself.
Yeah. I mean, I had heard that Yokoi actually was, looking at getting color displays in there. So, but they just didn't have the time for it.
Nope.
So somebody wearing a suit decided, hey, that's not going to make any difference at all. Let's go to war with what we got.
Yeah. So that's how the most unfortunate system that ever came out happened.
And then you read some of the stuff that Jez-san has talked about on the same subject, and a lot of it's pretty damning.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the worst part is that's actually, the Virtual Boy was really the last thing that Yokoi worked on before he had his unfortunate accident.
Well, I thought that was the last thing that he worked on for Nintendo.
For Nintendo, yeah.
For Nintendo it was.
The Wonder Swan.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was working a bit on the one. He didn't have do a whole lot of work on it before he was hit by a car. But yeah, it's unfortunate. The thing was though, back in the day, they made up the story that he actually stuck with Nintendo a long while, and they basically gave him a desk beside a window. But yeah. I mean, I guess now. The good thing about Nintendo now is they've got, some of the folks who were, programmers and designers and stuff are now heavily involved in corporate now too. So they at least have an idea of what it's like to be involved in development. So they won't make those decisions as often as they used to.
Yeah, they're not going to repeat those mistakes. They'll just make all new ones.
Yeah.
Such is the way of the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I do want to go back to our to the Wii Virtual Console point coming up.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if we're going to see Wii U consoles with more storage, because you start downloading new games.
It's going to hurt.
32 gigs
very
is going to hurt.
Oh yeah. Yeah, actually, I've got Earthbound lined up on my Wii U right now, so I'm already taking advantage of it. So,
Yeah.
um,
One of these times
and
I need to just blow a bunch of money and
yeah,
bring my Wii Virtual Console collection back up to current. I was
Yeah.
maintaining
'Cause
that
I
for
got-
a very long time.
Yeah.
yeah, I still got to get Chrono Trigger back on it. So,
Mm.
Yeah. So a couple more things of note about the new 3DS XL. First exclusive games. The first big exclusive game that we've heard about was Xenoblade Chronicles 3D.
yep, they're porting it.
They're porting it. Well, we knew about that when they announced the system in Japan.
Yeah.
We thought it was going to be a launch title. At least a lot of people did. Not so. It is falling to April. So there is that to consider. Also, if you're having trouble getting your hands on the Zelda system, there's a Monster Hunter 4
Ultimate.
Yeah. Special edition. This one does have the game preloaded for $30 over the cost of the system. In comparison to the Zelda edition, which is the straight $199.99, but no game.
Yeah.
So there is that to consider. And I honestly prefer the Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate Edition to the Zelda one.
Mm-hmm.
I just wish that was an actual metal outer casing on it. Because that looks brilliant.
Yeah.
So,
I actually am glad that they're going to be porting Xenoblade, because it means a lot more people are going to be able to play it.
Yeah.
Because right now the only place you can get here in the States is at GameStop, and it's still sells at like around $50. So
Yeah.
And that's when they get it in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's worse up here. I mean, I've looked for Xenoblade Chronicles. Have found it, but selling for $90 to $100.
Yeah. Well, you hear about some of the shady stuff that GameStop is being accused of regarding, say, Amiibo. Do you really want to give them exclusivity of games?
No, you don't.
Well, I used to work for GameStop, and as for the Amiibos, I know they would only send us a certain amount, so.
Yeah. So are you up to speed on some of the, I don't want to say conspiracy theories, but allegations, if you will, regarding Amiibo sales practices?
Go ahead and remind me.
So
that they're intentionally underselling certain ones to make them rarer.
They're underselling. Well, not just that, and then they're double dipping because they're opening up some of their stock and holding on to that and selling them as used later on at a strong markup.
Yeah.
So as far,
I know they did. I know they didn't do that at my store. So.
Well, no, this
wasn't
a store level thing. This was a distribution level thing.
Corporate, yeah.
That definitely sounds like something GameStop would do.
Yeah, and so I forget which characters this was. I think it might have been Shulk that this was going.
Yeah,
on.
it was definitely some of the Fire Emblem characters too.
Yeah.
And I want to say they were doing the same thing for Link, but that might just be me.
Yeah. We'll see.
I'm honestly not sure about any of it, but I'm jaded enough that it's you wouldn't really have a hard time convincing me of it.
Yeah. Well, this is the company that was taking in Red Ring 360s, doing what effectively amounted to the towel trick, and then selling them as refurbished. So,
yeah.
So that's nice.
They got legit busted for that, didn't they?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At least exposed, but,
Yeah.
Not,
They've had a problem with employees selling stolen merchandise too.
Yeah.
Ooh.
When I first started working there, they had a whole thing where they were showing you, how to make sure, see if this, this merchandise that you're getting, you're having sold to you so that you can sell back used, whether it was stolen or not. 'Cause I mean, like, I know there was like a big ring around 2012. There was like a whole bunch of them that were knowingly selling stolen merchandise.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's
and they totally got busted for it too.
Oh, I bet. I know in the state of Utah, they're like required to log any systems and games that they get in and hold them for a specific period of time in case a police report comes in and says, hey, this shit's stolen. But I wasn't sure if that was just the state of Utah or if this was some kind of national policy. Apparently it's not.
It was happening. No, but it was happening in other states, so.
Huh. Well, yeah, like I said, I wasn't sure if that was a...
That wasn't like a company thing. It was basically like a ring of employees that were knowingly doing it.
Oh, so they were just kind of glossing over the logs.
Yeah, rogue employees.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You're gonna run into that pretty much any company, I think.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
Especially one that big.
Yep. That doesn't make them any less terrible, but...
It doesn't, but... Again,
capitalism, folks.
Yeah.
Something else I learned working at GameStop. I always wondered why it is that some people wait until Christmas Eve to do all their Christmas shopping. And I never understood why. And this year I finally understood why. It's because they're frickin' idiots, that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you no longer working there anymore?
It was a seasonal thing.
Oh, okay.
I've been through that phase of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the economy, I'm pushing 30 now, and I still haven't had a regular job, so... But whatever.
It's rough.
Yeah.
So, should we wrap it up?
C'est la vie.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's pretty much a show. I do want to mention this week Microsoft is going to have their Windows 10 announcement, and Phil Spencer is allegedly supposed to be there. So we might hear some stuff about PC gaming and the Xbox coming out of that. If it's particularly noteworthy, we might do a special show midweek. If not, we'll
Day Zero update will be there just in case.
Yeah. If not, then we'll save it for next week's show.
Yeah.
Yeah. And hopefully I will be here next week. So
yeah, we'll see. I think this went pretty well. So
yeah,
see how it goes. All right. So with that, I'm Filippo Ginolfo.
I'm Patrick Mifflin.
And I'm Brandon Perkins.
And we'll see you next week.